can you give us some words? You have already given us some scenarios what can happen after the referendum, but could you give us some worst case scenarios and some best case scenarios?
I think the best case scenario will be we will have two friendly countries along the lines that were agreed on Sunday, that people will be given a choice after the referendum to live in Southern Sudan, to choose to live in Southern Sudan or in Northern Sudan, and that we will continue to need each other and be good neighbors. Salva Kiir has said on more than one occasion in my own presence, saying that, you know, when we say the Southerners are going to be independent, we are not going to change the borders in such a way that Southern Sudan will be another part of the country or will be near the Indian Ocean. It will never be like that. We will always be where we are, but we can be good neighbors. The oil from the south will not pass through any other routes, maybe to East Africa, but we will continue to keep pipelines to go through Northern Sudan. There are people in the south and in the north who have ancestry, both in the south and in the north. So these people will continue to be our people who are of the Sudan, whether you call it North or Southern Sudan. But the thing is, the people of Southern Sudan must be given the right to self-determination. And when that right is compromised, that becomes a problem. One of the things that the SPLM has done is to let us identify the problem. Because the problem is not the Arabs or not the Southerners not being black or being otherwise. The issue is, what are we? Are we Arabs? Are we Africans? Should we be ruled by Islamic Sharia law? And when people discuss the CPA, Southerners were asked, you cannot deny the Northerners their right as the majority to be Muslims. And then our people say, all right, if that is the case, then we must be given self-determination. We must go for unity on need basis, or we go for what is called self-determination, which is an inalienable right that is given to people. And so that's why we were given the choice for the referendum, and which is going to be confirmed now through the referendum. So that's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario will be two hostile countries who will keep fighting, but now maybe this time with a little bit different, because there will be two countries rather than one country, which is very unlikely. What we are gathering, and I was in Khartoum recently, what we are gathering at the moment is actually nobody wants to go to war. If we can make the best of the two countries and be good neighbors, that seems to be the way that people are thinking. But of course, the rulers, people who have always been in power, they will use all sorts of things, including intimidation, so that southern people are scared by those tactics.
Thank you very much. Mr. Th.D. from the Foreign Ministry, what can the Swedish government do to prevent these worst case scenarios, and what can you learn from these organizations represented here, faith-based organizations?
Thank you. Well, for us as a government, we must recognize that we can only do one thing here. We can only support the parties present in Sudan to do what they can do to prevent escalation of this process or turning to war or whatever situation we might see happening either now or later on at the end of the CPA in July next year. But in doing so, of course, there are several things that we can do to help, and not only the parties, but the people in Sudan. Key issues in this process is right now we're having a referendum process. We're having a Sudan who until April last this year never had voted, or at least for a very long time had not voted. And right now we can support them in actually giving them information on what is voting. What do you do when you're going and casting a vote? What processes are you having in front of yourself when you are to decide these issues, not only on a country level but also on on village levels, on community levels, and so on. And what we're seeing is Sudan changing slowly, perhaps, but nevertheless we actually see Sudan, who is not the same country as it was before. Right now we've had a CPA going on for 5 years, and peace in South Sudan is at least something that is totally new, and you can't perhaps expect things to change radically over 5 years, but peace during these 5 years has led to a certain change, perhaps not the change that people had hoped for, but at least some change. And I think that this change is not happening because we are sitting at our desk here in Stockholm making decisions. It's happening because we have organizations working on the field and meeting people there. Of course, needless to say, that's not easy for us to do, sitting here in Stockholm. Mr. Carlsson here, representing SIDA, is doing this job together with us, together with you, and what we hope for is, as the minister said, to find these people in Sudan who can make the difference. The people on the ground who actually are strong persons in the crowd, so to say, to actually make a change and to lead the country towards something that will not be another war. As I think Dr. Kobia said, we see a country who is tired of war, but we also see, I might add, a country who has not seen, for a lot of the youth living in Sudan, they don't know anything else but war. So for them to return to a different situation is, well, the key factor for them is to learn what can peace give us, what's the alternative to put down the guns and to give them back eternally and not just bury them in the ground and bring...
From what you have heard here today from these faith-based organizations, are there other constructive things that you might have to do after what you have heard?
Well, I think that one thing that what we heard today is what you can do on building confidence between ethnic groups in society. I think that's one key factor. I mean, we're right now talking about not going back to war between North and South, but we have to think about not going back to a situation where people in South Sudan are promoting violence between their own groups. And confidence-building measures in this field, I think, is a key factor. We have these things going on, for example, in Darfur through something called Darfur Dialogue and Consultation, where people can meet each other and discuss their local grievances. Why is the road going here? Why do you bring your cattle to my village? Why do you grow crops here? And so on. I mean, these things that actually lead to local conflict. And if we can do more there, I think that will be something good to do.
Mrs. Eva Nilsson and Jenny Jacobson, what do you believe your organizations can do to support this best case scenario, so to say?
Well, I think already a lot of things are being done among the churches. And I would like to urge the government, out of what you are saying, to increase the cooperation with civil society, with churches in this peace-building process. When I look at our members, the members of the Swedish Mission Council, the Christian Council of Sweden, many of them have relationships with Sudan, are involved in a lot of peace-building activities on the ground, focusing on women and strengthening their capacity and their voice in society, and working with different minority groups. And so there is a strong experience, strong and long-lasting experience in the churches and in civil society. And I think it's crucial, both the work that civil society is doing, but also the cooperation between governments and civil society. I think it's really crucial for the continuation of what is happening after the referendum. And I see also when I look in this room, I know there is a lot of knowledge on Sudan.